Ok. Bueno, para los que no me conozcan, soy el doctor Cristian Maldonado. Okay, let's do this in English, of course. I was since we were talking in Spanish before, I totally forgot. I'm Dr. Christian Maldonado, and today we're going to try to and kickstart a seminary that has the intention of being a continuous seminary, probably getting together every 2 weeks or at least once a month, but preferably more frequently. And I'm going to talk to you about two possible lines of research, which indeed join together in a specific point, which are artificial general intelligence and indigenous language preservation. As you know, since we started having the LLM revolution, that started, of course, everybody knows, with attention is all you need, the paper about transformers. And nobody, before that, nobody even considered, or the majority of the community never even considered that artificial general intelligence was within reach. They thought everybody was talking about 10 years, 20 years. Other people was talking about, well, not even 10 years. Everybody was talking about 30, 40, 50, 100 years. So since the arrival of the large language models that started producing not only good language, but also perceived um, reasoning skills, good or bad. We all know that even the most modern models and the ones with more money and everything, they have their issues. They sometimes cannot reason on things that are very simple or present results like reasoning. But for many common day tasks, now a lot of people have perceived them, especially in the general public, as capable of reasoning. I do not want to enter into the debate of what is reasoning, what is intelligence, is it real or is it not real? I want to throw all of that out of the window and talk more about the perception of reasoning and the results that can be achieved through an LLM, for example, or other architectures. First, um, when we think about human intelligence, there's a lot of debate about that. As I already told, I'm not going to enter into that debate. It could be a seminary on its own. What is intelligence? It should be defined as human intelligence. Are other creatures intelligent? Very very intelligent creatures like the octopus, which has several brains inside its body, and it's capable of solving very very interesting problems, but it's totally a completely different intelligence from ours. So I don't think it's looking for it. So I believe that this discussion is like worthless. What is important is what can be done. Will these machines be able to replace humans in what are considered cognitive tasks? And I can tell you that this is not a question anymore. So many journals, newspapers, creative agencies, um, even artistic things like music generation, image generation, they are being done by these both the stable diffusion models or the diffusion models and the LLMs or the combination of both. And what I believe is that the result is what it is important. So I'm going to talk about artificial general intelligence in the sense of something that has the appearance or the result as some human or some cognitive task could be done by a biological creature. In this sense, and as we have seen the advent of the of different technologies, we see that with every scale in okay, let me go here. With every scale that we what's the name of this? I forgot. When we grow from one level of volume to another. I forgot the name of this, but say, for example, those of you who work with GPT-1, GPT Neo, then GPT-2, and you could see that more or less the architecture was the same, but you just added more data, more attention heads, more transformers, and you're doing the in general you're doing the neural network bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you start to get these emerging properties that start appearing. First, if you remember GPT-1 or the first version of GPT Neo, uh, it started making these things that look like human words but weren't even real words, just looked like human text. And then GPT-2 started doing some conversation, some creation of text that was more or less human like, still having a lot of hallucination, creating words, doing essentially wrong in many tasks. But it was just the order of magnitude. It was just an order of magnitude more needed to get GPT-3. And GPT-3 broke the internet. It's like everybody who thought that artificial intelligence was something far into the future, uh, regular people, they started using ChatGPT in November 2022, and everybody was thinking about this is intelligent, especially if you remember, if you were amongst the first user, I guess you were, of the GPT-3 and 3.5 model, before they started to getting these rail guards around it, like doing a lot of um, um, rail guarding, like trying to prevent it to create offensive content or content that could be dangerous, or giving it all of these templates so that it could have more standardized responses. If you remember the experience with those first unbridled versions of GPT-3, it was like totally and completely baffling. I remember I have had been working with GPT-1, GPT-2, GPT Neo, and the jump from GPT-2 to GPT-3 was like, dude, this is completely different. This is something that is it made me feel a hole in my stomach personally, or sentimentally, or I felt a hole in my stomach, like this is it, this is the path, this is we have been shown that we just have to train it with more data and make it bigger, and this will achieve general intelligence soon. And the thing is that it was true. With GPT-4 and its multimodal capabilities, and 4.0 with all its other capabilities and plugins and things that you can add to it, you are actually reaching something very, very similar to a baby, or an emerging artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence. And we are effectively, as researchers, especially in a lower income country, we're not in the United States, China, whatnot, um, we are essentially cut out from training these large language models. Training just something as little as the Gemma model, if you know, is like the baby brother of Gemini. But especially something like Llama 3, which compressed a lot more information that is supposed to be compressed with the chinchilla standard. It's the results are impressive, are truly and really impressive. Even the 8 billion parameter is very, very competitive. So what are we going to do with this? We cannot train. It's effectively impossible, even for, I don't know, pulling all the resources from different universities and joining them together, which is difficult. And try and train one of these things from scratch is like it's impossible. For example, in Mexico or in I don't know, even if for countries like Germany, which invest a lot in science with the industry and the government and stuff like that. So we are stuck with different possibilities, which I want to discuss here. Um, and these LLMs are giving us a whole host of different possibilities to do more stuff. And I want to backpedal a little bit after giving this AGI context and go back to the topic which is the main topic probably of interest for many of you, which is indigenous indigenous languages. Uh, and I will tell you this is not completely disconnected from. Let me close all of this from what we're doing. I'm closing all of this so they don't consume memory. Okay, if you see LLMs, for example, can help us can help us to do some tasks that are related to indigenous languages. I will talk about this a little bit more further down the road. Let me make this a little bit smaller. I hope everybody can see. And the problem we have, as we have seen with probably all of you that have worked with indigenous languages, is where is the data? Where is the corpora? And most of us are probably working with the Bible as a source because I don't know these evangelizing efforts have translated the Bible into many small languages. But this has an issue. This has an issue because even for a regular speaker, for example, Spanish speaker and English speaker, using the Bible as a text to train something, it's like it's not very modern. It's not the way we speak the language in the present. And many of these translations were done in the 70s and in the 80s, and the native languages, as all other languages, especially those that don't have a written form or a specific written form standardized, they tend to mutate faster than the other languages. So the people that are users or speakers of native languages, they are losing the possibility to 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 get something useful because we are using the Bible for their model. So I'm not telling it's not useful. It's a good base. It's something we have. It's at least something that exists. But I think we could start researching more in different directions that could help us to get more data and in the other direction is like to use models that work with less data to of course get the tasks that are useful for native languages. And what other thing that artificial general intelligence and indigenous languages or minority languages have in common is that they have a lot of low hanging fruit for research and innovation. We have a whole range of experts here in the center and in other centers. I will later on introduce some of my colleagues that are in the meeting too. That we can go from very specific technique and a very low level development of neural networks in their innards and the application of it. going to more applied research, to even innovation, and even to product creation. I don't know if I don't know if Jason is on the meeting. I don't know. Well, in any case, okay, I will check on that later. Um, so we have not. There is like something for everyone. If you want to go very deep into the algorithms, you can work on techniques that can use smaller corpora and give them other natural language processing, traditional language processing, linguistic techniques, for example. If you are more into the applied side, you can go and help us out with the recollection apps that can be deployed to different communities. If you like more the systemic view, you can help us integrate different algorithms that already exist. We are not alone in this. It's something that started gathering a lot of attention like 2 or 3 years ago, and we start integrating things that are already there so we can put them together and probably do some transfer learning or other techniques that could use make use of other advancements that are already in the community. So I'm not going to go through all of this. If you want to have a screenshot or you want to just grab the URL that is up there, it's some possible research directions and some things also to keep to start your imagination on what could be done with indigenous languages. I think this is very valuable because, from a research point of view, we can both publish more and probably get more funds since there's a lot of attention on this topic now. I think the UNESCO is calling this, the United Nations are calling this the from 2022 to 2032 the decade of indigenous languages. So even from the funding side of research, I think we could, if we mature some of the efforts that are already there, we can ask for important funds from the United Nations or from other bodies, Mexican government, other governments of other countries that are starting to get interested in this. And also, I think indigenous languages are going to be something very important because, as humans, we have this gregary um, instinct that we want to be part of something bigger, we want to be part of humanity, and doing something that could potentially change the lives of people that nowadays are being marginalized because they don't speak a majority language. I think it could be something really, really fulfilling to do. To know that you put a little grain of sand towards more equality. And this is more or less the idea I have, or some of the ideas I have gotten for topics that could work in as possible areas of interest that could join, of course, natural language processing and indigenous languages. Also, I was discussing with, if you were in the meeting with Andres Lowe 2 weeks ago, probably you saw I started asking if he had used LLMs to pre-process some of the data that he had already. So I think LLMs are very powerful in this respect and could help us to pre-process some of the data. Some of the things that we have been doing by hand with scripts and everything, they probably could be done by LLMs nowadays. Even LLMs that we can run on our computers and our computers. So I think that in itself could be an interesting topic. How to use LLMs to pre-process this type of exotic data. It's very exotic. It's very difficult to have something standard about it. So I think we're in a good point that we could just try and grab a lot of these low hanging fruits for research and for funding. So I hope a lot of you get interested into this. I'm the purpose of this kickstart is trying to gather attention and interest in things that could work for um, to create papers, to create theses, to create alternative lines of research apart from your main line of research, and it's something that it could be really really interesting for all of us. To tell you that we're not alone in this, we have been working already for more than 2 years now. Uh, you probably Some of you probably know Jason, and we started this effort for a transdisciplinary research group, and this led to the creation of this association. It's a small association. It has little people. It's not formalized within the government, but it's on the process of. And this is the advancement of minorities with natural language processing. And if you see, we're talking mainly, but not only about indigenous languages. There are other minorities that could be helped. Um, we have some of these projects that are being supported by different people, researchers and engineers and other volunteers. And let me put this in English. Where is it? Translate to Espanol. Wow, like this is English, dude. Well, in any case, translate to Espanol. Detected language Spanish. Let me choose another language. English. English. Translate. No, that's not working. Try again. Okay, I think I have to choose Spanish and then move it to English. Simone Spanish. Translate. Now, for some reason, it's not working. In any case, so we have some projects for recollection of languages. This have been even funded by student innovation projects here at the Polytechnic, and we have been working on possibly what could be a kind of Twitter for indigenous languages, and also on dictionaries and supporting other projects, which I will show soon. And this is one of our people that's collaborating with us. She's Jana Mantenuto from the CSU. This is, let me, it's probably taking a lot of time. Let me close this. I will reload. Manuel Maher, he's working with us right now. He's at Amazon, I think. Let me see if there's a picture of him. This is him. He's at Amazon Research right now, but he studied in Germany and he made his thesis on the Wisharika language. I think his parents are speakers of the language, though he's not. And he has done a lot of work. He is the current leader of America's NLP, and that was co-hosted at NAACL. If you were there, he's already working with us. Philly Altamirano, she has uh, some political stuff here, but let me see if there's a picture of him that is more representative. He is a speaker of the Mixteco language in the Oaxaca mountainous region, and what he does is that he trains all these kids in Taekwondo and gets them to the world level. They have traveled all over the world with winning tournaments and stuff like that. And The thing that he does, which is very interesting, is that he only trains them in Mixteco, which is the native language. So he's doing a lot to preserve the language, and he's a very important tie with this community of Mixteco. He can help us gather people that can label corpora or start raising corpora, for our research. He's very active. He's a very very good friend of mine. I like his work a lot too. And and let me see if this finally loads. I think the internet here is not very good. I hope everybody is being able to listen to everything. Of course, this is Andres and our dear Dr. Olga, and they were at the Inali just recently, so it's a very good resource for everything on the indigenous languages, which is INALI. For those of you who don't know, is like Instituto Nacional de Lenguas Indígenas, which is National Institute for Indigenous Languages. So, of course, they're going to be a good resource. Uh, Professor Miguel Ángel García Trillo, he's from the Universidad Michoacana, and he's been the one that has been organizing this PLN indigenous thing that is not loading at all right now. What? Um, but it's already established Congress with 4 years. I think it's a good opportunity to participate there and make it stronger. You can find people from different universities, different parts of Mexico, different parts of the world working on little projects on indigenous languages. And I think that is very important that us start getting together and doing this work more as a community, you know? This will strengthen our community a lot. Again, this is having issues. Okay, I want to, for example, we're helping with these projects that I already told you about, and probably my internet is terrible. Okay, let's use this one instead. Also, someone working with us is this very young enthusiast. He's a student of agronomy, actually, but he gathered a lot of attention. He has been in the media and everything because of his Miyot app, which is an app that already has, like, I don't know, 50,000, 60,000 downloads on the Play Store for learning indigenous languages. Unfortunately, um, he needs more support, to make this app better. And we could start integrating a lot of the technologies we have already developed to make this app even better. And they have a lot of native speakers of several native languages from Mexico in the University of Chapingo, where he is from. And it's mainly an agricultural university. It's about techniques for agronomy, and but they have people from all over Mexico that, of course, many come from different communities, and they are native speakers of indigenous languages. Okay, finally. Oh, nice. This was just done. The Universidad Michoacana de San Nicolás Hidalgo is like the one that organizes it. We have our little IPN there because we're collaborating with them, but they're also collaborating with the INALI, CONACYT, and Instituto Nacional de Pueblos Indígenas, which is indigenous communities national institute, which is very good. Government of Morelia. This is also, of course, the Association for Minorities, the one that I just presented, the MNLP, Association for Advancement of Minorities through Natural Language Processing. So we're now very very deep within the organization of this Congress. So this is to tell you that Okay, let me see if we can show something about Mijol, for example. So these guys did a lot of work. Emilio, Gabriel, Jose Crisostom, he's a developer that is like volunteer for a long time developing this. There were guys from different universities around the world and just giving time and code and hands to do some code. So they pull this off. Let me tell you, this app is not very advanced, but is I think is the most visible and public application that we have. It's already on iOS, Android stores, and you are able to download it. So I think it's a good, spearhead that could help us break some barriers of barriers of. Somebody spoke here. No, I heard a noise. Well, in any case, with the mainstream public, to not let our work fall just into the category of something that just disappears with time. Olga, please come on. I don't see you. Olga, 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 Olga. Just start speaking. You're already with an open microphone. Hello, doctor. I can't hear you. Hello, hello. I hope it doesn't. It's not a connection problem for. Uh, okay. Is there something in the chat? No. Okay. Okay. If you want to tell us something in the chat, no problem. It might also be the because I am at the SIC, at the CIC at the research center, and so the connection here is terrible. So it probably is the connection of the research center. Well, in any case, let me show me what I'm sharing. If you want to tell something in the chat, and then I can read it out for you, for everybody. So I want to tell you that we have a lot of possibilities here for indigenous languages. I think using the different directions that, again, are creating apps that can be used by the communities, using LLMs to make our tagging and pre-processing work easier. We can start working on more efficient models that work with little known, with little corpora, small corpora, zero-shot learning, future learning, and I think it's very, very important to capture the living nature of indigenous languages. Let me see if I can. Well, it's going to be problematic, I guess. But there are a lot of things that we can do with this. I am maintaining some domains for some of the prototypes we had. They are very basic. We need many, many more hands to make this work. So I hope this can get you interested. And now moving on to AGI. Do we have something here? No. Moving on to AGI, I'm calling this Proto AGI because it's not a real. I don't want to go into the discussion of a real sense artificial general intelligence. I just want to give the impression of something that does many different and intricate tasks, and that a single system, and you will see that I'm talking about a system because this I think this is one of the perspectives we could take, and I will delve more on that. A system that can provide intelligent responses for a whole broad array of issues or topics and tasks in general. And basically, we could go two directions. We could, let me see if I can make this F11. We could go two directions. We could go like through the theoretical research, and of course, we can start working on advanced prompting techniques. Using, for example, using LLMs to produce better prompts. LLMs are getting more context nowadays. Context for a conversation in LLM used to be very short, very small. There are many techniques appearing and maturing on how to make this context larger. From well, you probably know them better than me. For example, embeddings for context and stuff like that. And we could go that way, not having to train or even fine tune an LLM, just do some advanced prompting. And this gets us a little bit to the camp of multi-agent systems, which is that we could use LLMs to call other LLMs and give them a specific prompt, And the specialization of LLMs is very, very, very important in this respect, because LLMs can start getting very good at specific tasks, so for the in a route from LLMs to prototype AGI or something like that looks and acts from the outside as an AGI and probably can be consumed as an API, we have a lot of theoretical research to do. There are many new exciting techniques that are coming along. Quantization, one of those, bit nets, another, and many other techniques that are making these LLMs be way more efficient. Actually, I was just recently using it. I had not used it, but I was just recently giving it a try to these models. I think it's Quant 2. Let me check. No, Quen 2. And if you see here something very interesting, we have a zero point 0.5 billion parameters model. It's tiny. It's only 352 megabytes to download. And let me tell you, this thing flies, and it speaks English very well, even though it's a Chinese model. It speaks Spanish very well, which is something like even more advanced models, like for example, say, for example, Llama 2 doesn't speak Spanish that well, and it's a tiny, tiny model. I don't know what techniques they use to make it this small, but it's super fast and it's very accurate. It responds to some. The responses are more or less simple, and I suspect a lot of templating for its responses, but it's very efficient and it's very, very small, 352 megabytes. This is something that we could use in our advantage. I think the models that are upcoming models, the next generation will be smaller, it will be more powerful, and it could be used for basically everything that we are using, right now, for 7 or 8 billion parameter models. So this is very interesting. What could we do to make these models smaller and simpler to train? Could we, using bitnets, even start training one of these models? Let me tell you some interesting news. We will get a hold via donation from Dell to of dual configuration GPU of the MI 200X category, which is the equivalent from AMD to NVIDIA's A100. So this is going to be really, really interesting because they're going to be configured in tandem and they're going to have 128 gigabytes of video RAM. So we can probably, if you have been trying or wanted to use a 70 billion parameter model and couldn't load it in the video RAM of the card, we can probably spare some time for you. This is from Conacyt. I forgot to tell you, I'm working at Conacyt right now. Um, we could spare for you some usage hours during the night. So this is really, really, yes, of course, doctor. And we have a lot of applied research that we could do. How to fine tune these? Use LoRa, QLoRa, fine tuning experiment, development of low resource LLMs, um, development of initial AGI prototypes integrating LLMs, and one idea that we have is to integrate, and we have had some success with this, is to integrate LLMs with traditional information structures like ontologies, graphs, and stuff like that. Like, of course, GraphRag, but other technologies that are simpler and that can make use of a small LLM and start working on this. Um, uh, and we can start moving from theoretical research to applied research to innovation, which could grant us some funds from Polytechnic and other institutions, um, to start using this in products or in applications, that could be used, for people that is having difficulties with some disability. Oops, sorry for this. We could use them. We're actually using them in Conacyt for taking input from users and making queries with it for databases. So it's an interesting use, for example. And finally, commercial deployment, which should be probably way into the future, but it's not something that we should like leave out. We should have it in mind because this is another thing that is important for those who want to be in the national researcher system in Mexico. It's important to participate with commercial products too. It's something that is taken into account nowadays, and also because it's a secondary source of funding for our research projects. So I will give you this the links to these lines. Of course, this is not closed at all. This is just ideas that could work. I am hoping to hear from you many more and way more brilliant ideas than the ones that we could have gathered. And very quickly, as we go back, let me stop sharing my screen. Stop sharing screen. Let me introduce you. Let me see if here we have, well, is Dr. Samuel and Dr. Mariano, which they're both a little bit sick. I think they got some respiratory disease, but um, it's like they are already working with us. We are at Conacyt right now, and they are already working towards the AGI proto AGI project. And the thing is to make the idea is to make systems that are combining different parts, and that could lead us towards a result similar to AGI. If you are able and want to speak a little bit, Dr. Mariano or Samuel.
Всем, всем привет. That's my entire friend Russian. I don't know
Okay.
any other words, but that's like saying hi to everybody. Um, well, what's interesting to me is that right now we're working on two different topics. On one hand, we have the indigenous languages, which is a really interesting topic because if people can't express an idea or share or have a common knowledge, um, well, we kind of like struggle, to have to gain knowledge, to have a good life, or maybe that's just my perception. And on the other hand, we have the AGI, as you said it. We have we have to we want in CONACYT to create a system that is capable to compete with big enterprises. Um, so what I want you guys to hear from us, from Christian, from Samuel, it's an invitation from our part. We want to collaborate with as as much people as possible, so we could, like I said, compete with organizations that have like a monopoly in this area. Um, Very nice to meet you. Very good seminar. Very interesting topics, and that's my participation for today. Like you said, I have COVID, and that's it for right now. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the effort, doctor. Just get rest, and we hope to that you're much better next week, so we can get together again. Samuel, do you want to participate a little bit, or you're also with a bad cough?
Give me a second, please. 2 seconds.
Sure. In the meantime, as suggested by Professor Sidorov, we could start taking questions. Because I think I already extended a little bit, so it's good. It would be
It's
good
okay.
questions. Okay,
Uh, uh,
go on, Samuel.
first, hello to everybody. I'm going to be here. We are working not in an engineering work, but a scientific work. Maybe we can, I don't know how to say, compare with big industry, but we are setting the first steps for making something different, like you said before. And this is important not only for our professional development, but we are making something different. We want to make the first steps so we can make something different. Yeah.
Thank you. And this is actually a big point that we want to give a totally different perspective because we cannot compete. We definitely cannot train our own LLMs here for the moment. Even though probably in the near future we can use bitnets or we can use some other techniques that could help us train an LLM here in the house. Or we could get more funding from the government that is interested in this. But I think for the moment it's going to be very, very difficult. Another thing that I wanted to tell you just before giving you the microphone, it's that the government, the federal government, is currently interested in making a competing like Amazon Web Services cloud service for the scientific community and the business community that could consume it, and they want to have these APIs that they could consume, like you have in Amazon or Google Cloud or whatnot. And that we're tasked with starting to explore the development of these APIs that could start working soon. The idea would be using like something akin to Olama to deploy, but a little bit more low level to deploy APIs for LLMs on open source already existing networks and start customizing those networks via prompting, via fine tuning, and eventually to create our own LLM, but that's way far into the future. And the government is interested in this, so there probably will be funds on this in the near term, probably next couple of years. Thank you very much for your attention, and I would like to hear from you if you have any questions or commentaries. If it's everything is welcome, you don't have to be kind or anything. Is if you find some of the ideas appalling by some reason or unscientific or whatever, it's we're completely open to your suggestions and criticisms, and I hope we can uh, polish these ideas even further with your brilliant minds and start working towards something very very interesting in the future. Thank you. I'm gonna close my camera because I have poor connection. Alex, okay, it's telling us something in the chat. Thank you very much for sharing. It was interesting to be listening it you presented on which aspect we could participate, but concretely, what should we do? What are we doing now? Also, the idea of APIs to consume indigenous models. When will it start? Sorry if my questions are too simple. No, no, no simple questions actually. I think we could start participating, like start just by talking. We have all these ideas on things that could work as research topics and innovation topics. So if you are interested, just let us know. I will give you my phone number here. Notepad. Okay, 5574391007. This is my WhatsApp. Of course, you have the contact of Professor Olga, Professor Grigory, so they could you could just ask them how to get in touch with us, and let's start just working. We start by talking. The purpose of this seminar is to to keep on continue on working on ideas, both on new ideas and on the current on probably if you are interested in one of the ideas that you see in the tables, that you could start just let us know, letting us know. Thank you, and Alex, thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hi, Cecilia.
Pues yo estoy muy interesada en formar parte del grupo. Ya estoy trabajando con Llama 2. Creo que puedo correr algunas cosas en Colab hasta 7 billones, creo, de parámetros, pero el de 70 no. Entonces me gustaría saber si pudieran ayudarme con un servidor potente.
By the end of the month, we're going to have probably actually you probably can run something on the GPUs of the laboratory. You could ask for some time, but I think starting August, we're going to have access to a much larger server with the GPUs that I told you, at 128 gigabytes in RAM, because it will be a dual tandem configuration for two 64 gigabytes video RAM GPUs. So yes, of course, as soon as it is feasible, we can give you some access, especially during the night, because during the day it will be used for CONACYT purposes. Thank you, Cecilia.
Muy bien, gracias. Se oye bien.
Somebody else? Okay, I think this is all for the moment. So I'm hoping to have you here. I will send the links to the tables of possible tasks and research topics and innovation topics. So thank you very much. I don't know if Professor Grigory wants to add something or Olga.
No, thank you. Can you hear me now?
I can finally hear you. Thank you. Sorry for that.
Oh, yes. I don't know what happened with me. So, I don't know, maybe these days the students will start their vacation, or I'm not sure. When do you actually start your vacations? Alberto, Cecilia, can you tell when are you
Creo que el
already
8.
not coming to SIC?
Creo que el 8 termina oficialmente el semestre.
Okay, it's just 1 week, yes? This week, this is the last week we have here.
Yes, and there's no problem because of course you can go on your vacation. It's very healthy to have a vacation, but also we could work asynchronously if you need to. Actually, Cecilia, I'm going to give you, I think tomorrow more work on your thesis.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yes.
I can hear
Yes,
you, Professor.
yes.
Now, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Well, I still have the doubt, how can you use the large language models for the small languages since they are trained on the other languages? Is it just transfer learning or what?
Actually, the thing where surprisingly, I have done some Nahuatl texts, some Nahuatl tests, not text, and work them with and pass them through Nahuatl indigenous language speakers, and they told me, "Well, this is not good, but it's something, and it's impressive from GPT-4 to know some Nahuatl at least." We're trying to see if it knows any other languages since it's trained on the entire internet. And other thing that, of course, we could do is we have some text like Andres told us at the seminar last couple of weeks ago that are very difficult, to cut into pieces or to align, for example. And some part of that could be done by the LLM, especially on the Spanish side. And also, once we have this corpus, especially with LLMs with large context as big as 128K tokens, we can add some of the corpus to the prompt as part of the context of the conversation. And we have done some incipient tests on this, and it seems to give good results. So I think there are many areas, like I said, it's low hanging fruit everywhere, things to explore everywhere. There's um, little work done on indigenous languages. Still, we're barely scratching the surface of what LLMs can and will do in the future. So I think it's important for us to start exploring these areas because otherwise we might be left out of the advancement.
Okay, can you give a prompt, learn the language and give the parallel corpora?
As to certain point, yes. Actually, not learn the language, but what we have said is given these pairs of we give it a table because nowadays ChatGPT accepts CSVs, TSVs, whatever type of file, and we give it a parallel corpus of the Bible and tell it, can you produce some other sentences different than the ones that you see in here, and of course it starts like giving us a couple of examples, and we pass it. For example, these ones we pass to other Nahuatl speakers, and it told us, well, it's not good, but it's something that looks like Nahuatl, and we were in that point something that looks like Spanish or English just 5 years ago. So I think this is promising in many senses because probably a lot of things that we haven't gathered, because I didn't tell you this, but there are many communities that are starting to put poems, stories, novels, and even other
Some
types
is
of
something.
information in social networks. So probably they are being mined as we speak by the large language models.
Okay, well, we shall try something. When you speak about APIs, what kind of APIs do you mean? Sorry.
Yes, right now, Olama, for example, has an API that is consumable very, very simply by. Actually, we made a wrapper for it that so that it can be consumed exactly as if it was OpenAI. And what we plan to do in the future is to produce not only APIs that are easily consumable, um, but the models that we work towards, for example, for artificial general intelligence or proto artificial general intelligence, we want to make them consumable so that you can like give a task or send a file to the model, well, to the system. The system will do all of these processes because it's a system. I didn't talk about it. We can talk about it in a future seminar. Um, do all of these processes internal and then return an answer to through the API. So it's something that could be very, very interesting in the future. Something that's consumable by companies, by researchers, other people. And I think this needs or deserves more explanation, but we could do it some other time.
Okay. Is social networking in indigenous languages working now, or is it not working? Is it working?
Um, indigenous languages communities, many that I know, or few that I know, they are working purposefully on putting their contents in Facebook and Twitter, YouTube, and other social media. Also, we think that the thing that we started with Pioli, it gathered some attention at the moment it started. We had some users. We got some 300 users at its peak, but it dwindled down because the platform was not advanced further. And I think everybody was conscious that it was only a prototype and everybody was willing to support. But since we weren't able to push it more forward. We need more hands. We need more volunteers. We need more resources. So I think we could revive Pioli, and I think it would be a good source for us. We actually got some corpora from Pioli. It's very small, but we got some, and also Index, the dictionary collection effort. We have some dictionaries actually from some languages in already available. So yes, I think the applications have some both people putting their contents in social media and both applications that could be used by the indigenous public are feasible options.
Yeah, we shall think how to take the data from Twitter or Facebook. Yes, in these languages specifically.
Yes, I think it's more a little bit of a manual look. For example, at first, like looking for groups, looking for pages that are specific for this, and then just regular mining. The problem with Twitter or X nowadays is that the API is very expensive. Just to get what we had 4 years ago in mining from the free API, you need to spend like $600 a month to get just that level of consumption. So it's expensive. We need to get funds to mine Twitter or nowadays X.
Okay, well, I think I have no more questions. We can discuss further cooperation later. Yes, thank you, Christian, for your presentation. Does anyone want to say something more? section of the seminar. So see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.